Oi, it's Filthy Ketchup. Welcome to today's video. Today we're looking at art that comes from torture victims around the world. Typically cheerful subjects for me. Art is sometimes the only way to express things that are truly horrific and truly terrible, particularly when they scar your soul as well. First, we're going to the North Korean prison camps, where forms of torture are daily used, and the torture is so horrific and so terrible. Part of what they do is they strap you to a bed and they put all four of your arms and legs to the end of the bed, and then they sodomise you with electrical current. They make you stand. This is called the pigeon torture. The pigeon torture is where you have to stand with your arms behind your neck, with a brick on top of your spine and a glass beneath you, and you have to wait until the glass is filled up with your own sweat. You have to carry bricks. Prisoners are routinely starved. They have to literally eat the guards' feces. They are tortured every day, and they're brainwashed into thinking they're subhuman and they're animals. The guards in the pictures are always drawn in a much more human fashion than the prisoners themselves, because when they're there, the prisoners are taught to believe that they're subhuman. They have to eat grass and rats and insects. They have to stand up with bricks on top of their arms, with their arms out straight, until the glass underneath them fills up with their own sweat. Women in particular suffer a great deal in these camps. They go through forced abortion, rape, sodomy, and special types of torture. The guards are particularly savage to pregnant women. The prisoners are forced to lean over and bend over with their arms behind their backs until they dislocate and break for days on end, and they're forced to work literally until they die of starvation. North Korea is a terrible, terrible place to be in prison, and they can detain you for years and years on end. If you imagine the psychological torture and the psychological horrificness, the CPTSD, you would never get over it. In our next case, we're going to Abu Zamadane has been detained by the CIA, and he was put under what they call enhanced interrogation techniques. We call it torture. They call it enhanced interrogation, and these are the disturbing drawings that came out of Guantanamo Bay. Waterboarding, they break your spine, they force you to lie in a tiny little box for days on end, and they're routinely waterboarded. In the cramped conditioned box, they tie their arms behind their back and tie them to their ankles until their spine and arms are dislocated, and then they shove them into this tiny little box. He said he was screaming in agony. It was such agony. If you imagine trying to sit in that position for an hour, he was kept in there for 8 weeks. The psychological and physical scars of torture never, ever, ever go away, and they can only be expressed through art. As Shakespeare said, "I fear you speak of the rack, for a man so constrained will say anything." Torture is against all human rights and should never, ever, ever be used for any reason. But in these profit wars, where they want to make money, human rights are the first thing they discard. This is Filthy Ketchup. Stay safe.